Welcome back to Attack on Cowboys, everyone. I hope you're all doing well and ready to dive into another action-packed update on everything Dallas Cowboys. There's so much to talk about today, and trust me, you won't want to miss a single detail. From rumors about potential signings to trade talks, contract extensions, and even looking ahead to the 2025 NFL Draft, this video is packed with juicy insights that could reshape the Cowboys' future. But before we jump into all of that, let's take a moment to talk about the big news that's been floating around the Cowboys world. First up, let's talk about the potential signing of defensive lineman Johnathan Hankins. You've probably heard the buzz about the Cowboys bringing in the veteran defensive tackle, and let me tell you, this could be a game changer for the team. Hankins, known for his ability to clog up running lanes and bring some serious muscle to the defensive line, would be a welcome addition to a Cowboys defense that is already stacked with talent. The question is, should the Cowboys make it happen? Now, Hankins is a big-bodied player, and his style of play would complement the speed and agility of guys like Micah Parsons, who's all over the field causing chaos. But there's a financial angle to consider here, too. With the Cowboys already in cap space tightrope territory, how much are they willing to invest in a player who may not be an every-down starter? We know that Hankins has had some injury issues in the past, so the Cowboys would have to assess whether it's worth the risk to bring him in and shore up that front line. If they sign him, it could also signal a shift in the defensive strategy, where they may want to become even tougher against the run. But there's still a lot up in the air, and this is one of those rumors that could go either way. Now, let's move on to another major storyline that's been making the rounds: Deuce Vaughn and his future with the Cowboys. If you've been keeping an eye on the offseason moves, you might have heard whispers about the Cowboys possibly trading Deuce Vaughn. While this seems like a strange move, given his potential and the promise he showed last season, it's worth considering from a strategic standpoint. With a backfield that already includes a healthy Tony Pollard and the newly acquired backup, Vaughn's role has become somewhat unclear. Would the Cowboys be willing to let him go in exchange for a more pressing need, like a high-caliber wide receiver or a defensive upgrade? It's a tough decision, no doubt, but there's no denying that the Cowboys are always looking to improve, and they've shown in the past that no player's position is ever guaranteed. If the right trade offer comes along, could Vaughn be on his way out? This isn't just some wild rumor. There's enough smoke around it to make us question whether a trade might be on the horizon. It would be a bold move, but it could pay off for the Cowboys, especially if they get a solid return on a player who might not be used as much in the upcoming season. Speaking of bold moves, let's talk about another huge question mark hanging over the Cowboys' future: Micah Parsons and his contract extension. If you've been following the Cowboys for any length of time, you know how important Parsons is to this team. The guy is a game wrecker, a defensive powerhouse, and someone who could very well go down as one of the greatest defenders in Cowboys history. But here's the thing: Parsons is coming up on the end of his rookie contract, and the Cowboys are in a tough spot. Do they pay him now, or do they play the long game and wait to see how his career continues to unfold? The pressure is mounting because, frankly, Parsons has earned every penny of a massive extension. The question isn't whether the Cowboys want to extend him, it's whether they can make it work financially. Parsons is a cornerstone player for this defense, and locking him down is essential to maintaining that elite level of play. But the Cowboys are no strangers to tough contract situations. They've been able to keep their core pieces together in the past, but this might be the most difficult negotiation they've faced in recent years. Parsons has been vocal about wanting to be one of the highest-paid defenders in the league, and honestly, he's worth it. The real question is, will Jerry Jones and the front office be able to get a deal done without straining the cap too much? This situation could have a huge impact on the future direction of the Cowboys, and it's definitely one to keep an eye on. Now, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture, shall we? The 2025 NFL Draft is just around the corner, and the Cowboys front office has a lot of decisions to make. We all know that Jerry Jones and company are not afraid to make bold moves on draft day, and with the team in a strong position to make a deep playoff run, the 2025 draft could be pivotal in shaping the team's long-term success. What positions are the Cowboys looking to address? Which prospects are they targeting? We've heard some rumblings about the Cowboys potentially targeting a wide receiver to help bolster the offense, especially if they decide to part ways with some of their current players. With the depth at wide receiver in this upcoming draft class, it would make sense for the Cowboys to take advantage of the talent available. A speedy, dynamic playmaker could be exactly what the offense needs to take it to the next level. But it's not just the offense that's on the table. The Cowboys could also look to add another piece to their already stacked defense, possibly targeting a cornerback or linebacker to further solidify their unit. There's also the possibility that the Cowboys could trade up in the draft if there's a player they really want, though with their limited draft capital, that might be a long shot. Regardless of how they approach the draft, one thing is clear: the Cowboys are in a position to make moves that could drastically improve their roster for years to come. It's all about finding the right pieces that fit their scheme and contribute to the team's overall success. Alright, now that we've covered the major storylines, let's take a look at some of your burning questions in this Q&A section. We've been getting tons of great comments and messages from you all, and I'm excited to dive into them. First up, we have a question about the Cowboys' cap situation and how it could impact their ability to sign free agents. As I mentioned earlier, the Cowboys are tight on cap space, and it's always a challenge for them to balance the books while keeping their top players happy. But we've seen the front office work some magic in the past, finding ways to create space and make moves without gutting the team. Expect some creative contracts and restructures to come into play as the Cowboys look to make one or two key signings, whether it's a veteran like Hankins or someone else entirely. Another question comes from a fan wondering whether the Cowboys will trade for a quarterback in the near future. This one is an interesting one, especially considering Dak Prescott's current situation. Dak is coming off a solid but somewhat inconsistent season, and some fans have voiced concerns about his long-term future with the team. However, the Cowboys have shown a commitment to Dak, and it's unlikely they'll be looking for a new quarterback anytime soon. But in the NFL, anything can happen, and it's not out of the realm of possibility that the Cowboys could explore options down the line, especially if they feel they need to make a move to improve the position. Next up, we have a question about Micah Parsons' leadership on the team. There's no doubt that Micah is already a leader in the locker room, and his work ethic and drive have rubbed off on his teammates. We've seen him take charge of the defense, and his ability to get the best out of those around him is truly remarkable. The Cowboys are lucky to have a player like Micah, and as his career progresses, expect him to become even more of a vocal leader on and off the field. He's the kind of player who can inspire his teammates to push themselves to the limit, and that kind of leadership is invaluable. Finally, we have a question from a fan who wants to know what the Cowboys will do with their current draft picks. As I mentioned earlier, the Cowboys are in a position to make some significant moves, and how they approach the draft will be critical to their future success. Whether they decide to stick with their current picks or trade up to grab a top prospect, one thing is certain: the Cowboys' draft strategy will have a major impact on how the roster is shaped moving forward. And if they can land the right players, the Cowboys could be set up for sustained success for years to come. So there you have it, folks. Tons of rumors, potential signings, contract extensions, and draft news to keep an eye on. The next few months are going to be absolutely crucial for the Cowboys, and it's going to be exciting to see how everything shakes out. What do you think about the potential signing of Johnathan Hankins? Do you believe the Cowboys will trade Deuce Vaughn, or will they keep him around? And how soon do you think Micah Parsons will get that well-deserved extension? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, be sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe to Attack on Cowboys for all the latest updates, rumors, and news surrounding America's team. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Until then, stay hyped, stay loyal, and as always, go Cowboys!